The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I am your host, the man from Lang, and on today's show we are going to continue our Dunwich Legacy campaign with Skids O'Toole and Jenny Barnes. As you may remember from the previous stream, Jenny and Skids ventured into the Clover Club in search of Dr. Morgan. They did in fact manage to escape the club with Dr. Morgan. Unfortunately, Skids suffered one mental trauma because he was knocked out on the very last turn and driven insane. So today we are going to continue the campaign with the second part, extracurricular activity. We are going to go to the Miskatonic University campus in search of Dr. Rice, and we will see if we can find him. And if we can't find him, we will probably attempt to save the students. I think killing the experiment is a little beyond Jenny and Skid's ability at this time. So we will more than likely attempt to save the students. If not, we may end up just having to resign and take what we can get out of this scenario. I think this is going to be a tricky scenario for them because a lot of the locations have a high shroud value, which will make it difficult for them to pass investigate checks reliably. Just to note that I understand the Arkham Horror module for the Octagon is now available. Tom from Mythos Busters and his crew did a great job of putting this together, and I would highly recommend that you check it out if you have not done so already. We have the game set up. Jenny and Skids are at the quad, which is a 3-shroud location with 0 clues, and it has the game text, "Resign. We can't find Rice anywhere. You leave the campus hoping Armitage will forgive you." Our agenda is Quiet Halls. You have arrived at the Miskatonic University campus in search of Professor Warren Rice. Classes are over and a mysterious silence hangs in the air over the quad, and it has a doom threshold of 7. Our act is After Hours. Professor Rice was last seen several hours ago by one of Armitage's students in the Humanities building, and we need 3 clues per investigator in order to advance, so we will need 6 clues. We're playing on standard difficulty. The skull is a -1. If you fail, discard the top 3 cards of your deck, and the cultist is a -1, -3 instead if there are 10 or more cards in your discard pile. Of course, this works with all the other cards in the encounter deck that discard cards from your deck, and if you happen to be unfortunate enough to draw a Beyond the Veil, if you deck yourself, you will take 10 damage, which will more than likely kill the investigators. There is an Elder thing, but since we did not cheat in the Clover Club, we do not have to worry about that token in this game. Let's draw an opening hand. Jenny will get a Derringer, a Guts, a Think on Your Feet, a Machete, and a Hard Knocks. I think we will ditch the Derringer, the Guts, and the Think on Your Feet. We'll see what else we get. We get a Backstab, a Magnifying Glass, and a Guts. We will shuffle those back into her deck. Skids, he draws an Unexpected Courage, a Machete, a Flashlight, a Liquid Courage, and a Hard Knocks. That is a pretty decent hand. I'm pretty tempted to keep the Liquid Courage just in case. He's already taken 1, so he's got only 5 sanity left. We're going to ditch the Unexpected Courage, and we will draw a Guard Dog in its place. We will shuffle that up, and I believe we are ready to start the first turn. So what we will do, Jenny is going to spend 2 for the Hard Knocks. She is going to spend 3 for the Machete, and she will... Do we want a car? We're going to get 2 resources, but we're going to need resources to play that. We'll take a resource so we can play the magnifying glass next turn and then move to the humanities building. Skids is going to play his hard knocks. He will play 3 for the machete, and he will pay... He's going to grab a resource so we can play the flashlight next turn. There are no enemies that we have to worry about, which is great. We will... Everybody gets some resources and some cards. Jenny gets a manual dexterity, and Skids draws his weakness, chronophobia. Put it into play in your threat area at the end of your turn. Take 1 direct horror. Take 2 actions to discard chronophobia. So we will almost certainly be taking 2 actions next turn in order to get rid of that. Let's add a doom and draw some encounter cards. Jenny gets a Whippoorwills, which is an aloof hunter. Each investigator at the Whippoorwill's location gets -1 to their skills, and they're 2-1-4, so they will hang out there, causing trouble. And Skids gets a Eager for Death. Test 2, increase the skill test difficulty by 1 for each damage on you. If you fail, take 2 horror. I really don't like that. Jenny will pitch a guts for him to give him a 4 versus 2, and we will see how we do. He gets a -1, so he passes, and Jenny will draw a card. That's it for the Mythos phase. Let's move on to the investigators next turn. Jenny is going to play her magnifying glass, which is fast. She is going to move over to the humanities building as her second action, or as her first action, since the magnifying glass is fast. It is a 3-shroud location with 2 clues per investigator, and it says at the end of your turn, if you are in the humanities building, discard the top X cards of your deck, where X is the amount of horror on you. So there are 4 clues there. That was her first action. As her second action, so she's a 4-3, so we might as well give it a shot here. 4-3, second action, investigate. We get a 0, which is great, so we gain a clue. And as our third action, we will do it again, and that time we fail. Jenny does not need to discard any cards because she does not have any horror on her. Skids, he is going to definitely take the double action to get rid of the chronophobia. We cannot have that sticking around for too long. And what we could do... do we want the guard dog, or do we want to kill the whippoorwills? Well, we don't really need to engage the whippoorwills yet. I think Skids is going to spend the 1. We're going to bring out the liquid courage this time. And we will stay like that. Whippoorwills are aloof, so we don't have to worry about them. It doesn't go hunting because there is an investigator there, so we will gain some resources and cards. Jenny draws a double or nothing, and Skids draws an emergency cache. We will add a doom and some encounter cards. Jenny gets the Beyond the Veil. That surges, so you put that into play in your threat area, and if you have no cards in your deck, you take 10 damage. The Beyond the Veil surges into an offer of power. You must either draw 2 cards and place 2 doom on the current agenda, or take 2 horror. Now that is not very good. That puts us in a very awkward position, because if we take the horror, then she's going to have to discard cards, which is really going to speed up Beyond the Veil. But I'm not quite certain we have what we need in order to quickly investigate the humanities building. I'm going to put the 2 doom for now and draw the 2 cards. So she gets a Leo DeLuca and a Think on Your Feet. And Skids gets another Eager for Death. Test 2, and he must, if he fails, he takes 2 horror. We don't have anything to help that, so it's just a 2 versus a 2. And he gets a 0. Awesome. So we pass that test, and we take no horror. Alright, it is our next turn. Jenny has some investigating to do. We need to hurry up now because we have added 2 doom to our agenda, so we're going to run out of time before that experiment comes online. Jenny is a 4 versus 3. She is going to pitch her Think on the Feet to make her a 5 versus 3. So she succeeds, grabs a clue. We are going to pitch we're going to pitch the Unexpected Courage to make her a 6 versus 3, and we get an Elder Sign, which is great. That's a +4, so she gets another clue. And now the question is, do we pitch Leo for the... That is a good question. No, we're not going to pitch Leo yet. We're going to hang on to him just in case we can play him possibly and get an extra action. So we will simply go 4 versus 3. And we succeed. So we have emptied the humanities building of clues. It is the end of Jenny's turn. She does not need to discard any cards from the top of her deck because she has horror. It is Skids' turn now. So if Skids, the Orn Library is a 3 with 2 clues. We could, we're going to spend the 2 clues from Skids to play the Flashlight, which has 3 supplies on it. We are going to either one of them can take them out. He's going to move to the Orn Library, which is a 3 shroud location with 2 clues per investigator, and it has the text, you must spend 1 additional action to investigate the Orn Library, and it is worth 1 victory point. And he will play the emergency cache to grab 3 resources. And we could, well, taking an additional action doesn't get us anywhere this turn because it's just going to, we need 2 actions in order to clear the Orn Library. So that will be that. The Whippoorwills have to go a-hunting, so we are going to move them over here after Jenny, because Jenny is going to leave that location. We will get some resources. And we go for some cards. Jenny gets a perception. That is awesome. That's going to be very helpful. And Skids gets a burglary, which will come in handy if we can get to the Students' Union building in time. We will add a Doom and draw some cards. Jenny gets the Yithian Observer. Now that creates some issues. It creates a couple of issues. Because she's going to be -1 due to these guys. And it will take us 2 shots to take that thing out. Unless she uses her backstab to do it. Alright. And Skids gets a pushed into the beyond, so he has to choose and shuffle an asset he controls back into his deck. I believe we will take the Liquid Courage and shuffle that back in. Discard the top 3 cards. There's a Burglary, a Perception, and a Guard Dog, so he does not take any horror. Alright, we have some issues here. Now Jenny is in a position to kill the Yithian Observer, but we are going to have to take an action. We have these Whippoorwills, which are going to make us a -1 across the board. So she's actually a 2 fight versus 4. 3 with that. So if we have Skids come down, engage the Whippoorwills and kill them, then Jenny can kill the Yithian Observer. He will have to discard a card from the top of his deck, but that is the price we will have to pay. So Skids will move to the Humanities building. He will engage the Whippoorwills and he will attempt to kill them. He is a 4 versus 2. He is a 3 versus 2. Because of the Whippoorwills, we will spend 1 resource for Hard Knocks to make him a 4 again. And there is the Tentacle. Ah, brother. Alright, well that's very unfortunate. Now we are stuck again with the Tentacle. And we get -1s across the board, which is going to be very unfortunate. Skids has to... well... no, Skids is going to take an additional action and spend 1 to make it a 4 versus 2 again. And he gets the Cultist, which is a -1 because he only has 5 cards in his deck, so he will kill the Whippoorwills. Jenny is a 4 versus 4, so we will spend 2 resources there to make her a 6 versus 4. She gets a 0, so that will be 2 damage on the Yithian Observer. As her second action, we will do it again. And she fails. Okay, that sucks. So we will do it again. Whoops, don't move her. Let's do it one more time. 6 versus 4, and she succeeds, so we add the Yithian to our victory display. Well, that was a very expensive turn in terms of resources. There are no enemies we have to worry about, so let us add some resources and draw some cards. Jenny gets a flashlight, that will be helpful. And Skids gets an evidence, which would have been helpful if there were more enemies around. We add a Doom, we are at 6. Jenny, she draws a Thrall, which goes to the location with the most clues. So that goes to the Orrin Library. And Skids gets a locked door, which is also going to the Orrin Library. Hoi, oi, oi. We are running out of time. So, well, but we can discover a clue at our location using evidence with Skids. If we can kill the thrall. So let us go with him first. And Jenny does have a manual dexterity, so she could break down the door. Skids will move. The thrall will automatically engage him. Skids will attack the thrall. He is a 4 versus 2. And he succeeds, so the thrall is dead. He is going to play his evidence to grab a clue at that location. And he has 1 action left. I think we're just going to draw a card, which is a vicious blow. Jenny is going to move. She is going to attempt to knock down the door. She is a 3 versus 4. We will discard the manual dexterity to give her a 5 versus 4 and 1 thing from Hard Knocks to make her a 6 versus 4, and she gets the skull, which is a -1. She succeeds. The locked door goes away. And she draws a card, which is a burglary. And that was 1, 2. She can't investigate this turn because of the Orrin Library's game text, so we will take a resource. No enemies in play, so we don't have to worry about that. Jenny gets her twin 45s, and Skids gets a 45 automatic. We add a doom, which flips the agenda. Something stirs. The university is dead silent. The shadows coil about your feet as you walk, and you swear there is something following you with each step you take. Is it just your imagination, or is there really someone or something stalking you? Each investigator with 5 or more cards in his or her discard pile takes 1 horror. Each investigator with 10 or more cards in his or her discard pile takes 2 horror instead. Skids has 6, Jenny has 4, so we each take a horror. And if the players have completed The House Always Wins, we advance directly to Agenda 2B. So we take out 2B and we flip it. Which is an experiment gone wrong. A cry of fear echoes through the campus, and several students flee from the eastern side of the university where the science building can be found. Could this commotion be linked to Professor Rice's disappearance? If the dormitory's location is not in play, put it into play. If the experiment is in play, move it 1 location to the dormitories. If the experiment is not in play, spawn it in the science building. So we spawn the experiment in the science building. We drop the dormitories into play. The investigators still need to find Jazz Mulligan in order to get into the dormitories. So we will give it a shot. We are on the clock here. The experiment is going to be on the move quickly. We advance to Agenda 3A, the Beast Unleashed. Some kind of wild creature is on the loose. Whatever it is, it appears to be headed toward the university dormitories. When this agenda would advance by reaching the doom threshold, instead remove all doom in play and move the experiment one location toward the dormitories. If the experiment enters the dormitories, advance. So we really don't want that to happen. So what does that give us? Four turns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 turns. We have 6 turns to finish this game. Fair enough. So we need to draw some encounter cards. We did not have to reshuffle anywhere, did we? We did not. Alright, so Jenny, she will get a thrall, which goes at the location with the most clues, which is the dormitory, or is the Orn Library. And Skids gets the whippoorwills. Good old whippoorwills. It is aloof. Alright. Well, Skids is going to engage the whippoorwills first of all. He is a 3 versus 2. We will... I don't think we're going to get the guard dog this game. We will pitch the guard dog to give him a 4 versus 2, and we succeed because we do not have 10 or more cards in our discard pile, so the whippoorwills are dead. That means Skids has 1 action left. We are going to move him to the Miskatonic Quad. Jenny has a thrall to deal with. She is a 4 versus 2 versus the thrall, which isn't bad. We will just do that 4 versus 2, and we fail. The thrall has retaliate, so she will take a damage and a horror. We will attempt to do that again, and that time she succeeds. Unfortunately, that puts us in a bad position because we do not have the action we need to explore the Orn Library, unfortunately. So Jenny will... We've got lots of resources. If we could just get that... If we can clear the Orn Library, that would give us a VP. We've killed a Yithian Observer. That gives us another. So we're getting out with 2 XP right now. It would be nice to get a 3rd if we can clear the dormitories. I don't think we have enough to kill the experiment. It's 13. We would need to get the alchemical concoction. If we got that, we would have a shot. We might have a shot at it. Well, let's see how things play out here. Maybe we could take a crack at killing this thing. If we can get the concoction. But that's a 5. In order to get the concoction, that's a 5 investigate test, and that is pretty hard for these guys to pull off reliably, especially since Jenny doesn't have arcane studies. So Jenny has 1 action left. Let's draw a card. That's an unexpected courage. So we are at the end. There are no enemies in play besides the experiment. It is not going anywhere until this advances, so we will get some some resources and some cards. There's a manual dexterity. Jenny's got a discard down. Just don't think we can do 13 damage in a turn. If she had that. Well, let's ditch the flashlight since our hands are full at the moment. And Skids draws a dodge. So that is okay. Alright, we add a doom. We draw some encounter cards. Jenny gets the Eager for Death test willpower 2. Increase it for each damage you have, so it will be a difficulty 3, and if she fails, she takes 2 horror. Do we have anything we can throw to that? She is it's a 3/3. Let's make it a 5/3. And that's a -1. She passes. Skids gets a Terror from Beyond. Choose one of the following card types, asset, event, or skill. Each player must discard each card in his or her hand of the chosen type. I'm going to choose event, as much as I hate to. Well, what do I lose if I choose asset? I lose the burglary, which is... Yeah, we'll discard the dodge. What the... so we lose our backstab. And that's it. Alright. The experiment is on the move next turn. Jenny is going to go first because we need to get Jazz into play as quickly as we can. Jenny is going to make the test at the Orin Library. She is a 4 versus 3. She is going to make that a 6 versus 3. And we succeed. So that was her first 2 actions. And I think she's going to have to move here. Now we can advance the agenda, or our act, sorry. We will advance the act. We'll spend our 6 clues that we need. And we will flip our act. The head janitor. You were unable to find Professor Rice, but one of the students you spoke with mentioned a strange man entering Rice's office. Unfortunately, the door leading to the faculty offices is locked at this late hour. The student says that the head janitor, Jazz, might be able to let you in, if you can find him. Shuffle the encounter discard pile and the set-aside Jazz mulligan into the encounter deck. So we will do that right now. So Jazz goes into the encounter deck. Those go into the encounter deck, and these go into the encounter deck. And we go to our next act, which is Rice's whereabouts. Concerned for Professor Rice's safety, you seek out the head janitor, who can let you into the locked sections of the campus. And it has the action, spend 1 clue, discard the top 5 cards of the encounter deck, top 10 instead if there is 1 player in the game. It has the forced effect, if you discard Jazz mulligan for any reason, resolve this revelation effect. And the objective flips when you take control of Jazz mulligan. So Jenny is going to face the experiment next turn. So Skids is going to use his first action to move to the Students' Union building. It is a one shroud location with 2 clues. After the Students' Union building is revealed, put the set-aside dormitories in play, and you can take 2 actions to heal 1 damage and 1 horror. Skids will use his second action. We'll just go 3 versus 1 for an investigate, and he succeeds. And he is going to go 3 versus 1, and he succeeds. So we have cleared that location. Now, do we take the action? I think we do. We will use Skids to take an extra action. I believe we discard a clue and discard the top 5 cards of the deck. So let's see if we can find Jazz sooner than later here. 2, 3, 4, 5. No Jazz. So maybe next turn. We are probably going to need to go to the administration building with Jenny in order to get that. To get some more clues. That is the end of the turn. We will gain some resources and some cards. Jenny gets an emergency cache, and Skids draws Dr. Francis Morgan, who gives him +1 fight, and after you defeat an enemy, exhaust him to draw a card. Now, that could actually... +1 fight, he'd be 4, 5 versus the experiment. 6... I don't know. Maybe? We'll have to see. So we add a Doom. And because we've added a Doom, we would advance this agenda, but instead we remove all Doom and move the experiment 1 place towards the dormitories. So he is hanging out with Jenny at the Miskatonic Quad. We will draw some encounter cards. Jenny gets a Visions of Future Past, so she has to test 5 willpower. For each point she fails by, she discards a card, so she is a 3. I do not have anything I can really pitch to that. How many? She's got 16. That's an auto fail. That is bad news. So she has to discard 5 cards. There goes searching for Izzy. 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. And Skids will get a Pushed into the Beyond. So he will take 2 horror if we discard. He's only got 11 cards in his deck. Oh no, that's Jenny. I guess it's got to be the flashlight. So we will shuffle that up, discard 3 cards. There goes a Vicious Blow, there goes Hospital Debts, and a Liquid Courage. So he suffers no horror. It is our turn. Now the investigators have a decision to make. Do we think we can get Jazz Mulligan, or do we quit and take our XP and run at this point? Because if Jenny, she'll have to evade the experiment. She will have to move to the administration building. She will have to get some clues. That's going to take a turn. Skids doesn't have any clues left to get. So that means he would probably be staying put. Or do we attempt to fight the experiment? 5 investigate tests to get that. If we want to get the alchemical concoction, that would be a 5 investigate test we'd have to hit. So that would be evade, move, hopefully succeed at the investigate test, move. The experiment would be here. I don't know. I don't think the math is adding up in the investigator's favor in this case. It just seems like we've got way too much to do and too little time to do it. So Skids could always play Dr. Francis Morgan. That would give him, if he's fighting the experiment, that would give him a 5 versus a 4. Hitting for 2, but he can't stand toe-to-toe with that thing for long, so he would be able to do 2. Possibly next turn 4, 6, 8. 9. If he got lucky. Nine if he got lucky. 10, 11, 12, 13. That would be 4. Well, I think we're going to try. I think we are going to try it. Let us... Now, Jenny's 45s would be a better choice at this point. If we're going to try to kill this thing, her 45s would be... a definite advantage. That would put her at a 5 versus a 4. I just don't think we can get the clues fast enough in order to so maybe what we're going to do here, we'd have 2 turns to prepare and then 2 turns to kill it. Otherwise we'd have to flee and resign. Alright. +1 and +1 damage. He would be a 5 versus a 4. He could do 6. Alright, we'll give it a try. Let's see what happens. Well, I don't know. We're getting 2 experience right now. I think you get a third if you resign, which I think I might be happy with. Just let me check quickly. Yeah. So if we resign, if we simply go to the quad and resign, then we'll end up with 3 experience for this. We won't save the students, but I just don't like our chances against that thing. So Jenny is going to take the resign action, and she will leave, and Skids is going to move, and he will also resign. So we will add a tablet token to the bag for not saving the students, but we will not suffer any more mental trauma, nor will we, and we get 3 experience out of it. So that's not terrible. I think the problem with Jenny and Skids is that their investigation simply isn't reliable enough, particularly in this scenario where you've got the humanities building with 3 shroud and Orne Library with 3 shroud. I believe the administration building is 4, so that is going to be I'm not sure, can't remember. Science building is 2, so we would have been better off going to the science building. So yeah, it's I think the time on this one is just, you have to do so much so quickly. If you're unable to sort of clear the humanities building and the Orne Library quickly enough to get to advance your act in order to get Jazz out. If you can get Jazz out very quickly, then the dormitories is only a 1 shroud location, so that is certainly easy for them to take care of. So we will end it there. Jenny and Skids do not kill the experiment, but they do end up with 3 experience points. Heading in, so that will give them 6 experience points heading into the Miskatonic Museum. That's going to do it for me today. This has been The Whisperer in Darkness. If you enjoyed the playthrough, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to be notified when I post new content, hit the subscribe button. And if you see any mistakes I made, by all means, leave a comment for me. That would be great. Until the stars are right, happy investigating.